It's Perfectly Normal by Robbie H. Harris is a book released in March 1994. It was made to educate adolescents going through puberty about the changes of growing up in sexual health. It talks everything sex, from what it means to like someone to the physical and scientific actions of making a baby, all the way to the development of a new life. Not only does this book educate readers on reproducing, but it also goes over precautions that all should be aware of when going through puberty. As well, it takes the time to be inclusive to all people, family, and homes. Talking about sex and sexual health is a difficult conversation. Books like It's Perfectly Normal are great resources to educate students, especially those going through puberty, on what is yet to come. However, there are many controversies when it comes to these conversations. The author and illustrator understand this and make a statement to encourage readers to go in with an open mind. They say, a note to the reader. While writing and illustrating this book, we checked and rechecked the scientific information and the latest research. What we learned from scientists and health professionals is that knowledge about this subject is continually evolving and changing. While there is much agreement, there's also some disagreement, and some questions still remain. At this time, the information in this book is as up to date and as accurate as possible. If you have questions or need further information, you can check with your parents, doctor, nurse, health professionals, teacher, or school counselor. I chose this book because growing up can be scary, especially when you are not prepared. Too often, we are too afraid to educate youth on the changes they are about to undergo, which results in insecurities, confusion, and later potential health risks, including pregnancy and sexually transmitted infections. Kids have lots of questions, and it is our responsibility to do our best to provide accurate information. On Marshall Library website, they explain some of the public's concerns about this piece of literature. A most frequent concern that was brought to light was generally surrounded around the graphic depictions of nudity, specifically child nudity. In Part 2, Chapter 6, we are taught that every body is beautiful, and every body is different. Having these examples are great ways to be inclusive, showing that every body is perfect. Another concern was with people disagreeing with the explicitness regarding sexual intercourse. Kids are often most curious about sexual intercourse, and it is important that we are able to have that conversation because there's so much more information that adolescents need to know in order to be safe. On this page, they have an importance to remember list explaining that it's important that a person is old enough and responsible enough to have sexual intercourse, that everyone has a right to say no. It lists the risks of sexual intercourse, saying a woman can become pregnant from sexual intercourse, but there are contraceptives to prevent that. And lastly, during sexual intercourse, serious infections can occur, such as HIV, AIDS, and more. Lastly, there were concerns about homosexuality being taught in a children's book. They do a great job at bringing up this topic in an educational manner, which is especially important due to the stigma surrounding the topic. The book goes into the history about homosexuality and what we know scientifically about homosexuality. As well, they address the stigma directly, which is a great conversation starter for your class, saying, some people disapprove of gay men and lesbian women. Despite everything I have so far talked about, this book is not perfect. My concerns had mostly to do with the wording that they chose. It often normalized inappropriate behaviors between youth, such as, on page 17, it states that it is normal for youth to look at and touch each other's bodies in an active and exploring way. With that in mind, it is important that if you take this into a lesson, you are stopping to have a conversation to ensure that students recognize that yes, you can be curious, but you must be curious in a manner that is not provocative. Overall, it is really important that we're educating youth on sexual health. This book is here to start those difficult conversations for you. Catherine F. explains in her article, Abstinence-Only Education and Teen Pregnancy Rates, Why We Need Comprehensive Sex Education in the U.S., says that when an adolescent is uneducated, they are at a much higher risk of early sexual activity. This results in unplanned pregnancies and sexually transmitted infections. By teaching students who are going through puberty the truth about sex will allow them to take the appropriate precautions necessary to be safe. Educating youth is not only important for sexual health, but also important for their mental health. Being open about these conversations will greatly increase the chances that they will be open with you and will let you know when they need help. I think that this book is an amazing resource for teaching the topic of sexual health in the 1990s. Yes, this book is eligible to be taught in today's classroom. There are some topics missing, and teachers need to recognize that if teaching this book, missing topics should be acknowledged and addressed. Overall, I think it would be beneficial to revamp this story to better accommodate the 21st century's learning standards.